Everybody, how you doing? I'm Pavs, a rising VTuber and an artist, and welcome to the stretch of time between between Christmas and New Year's that nobody knows what to do with, least of all myself. So, in recognition of that, what I decided to do is today is going to be a sort of hang on. So, quick story behind whatever this thing is. I recently decided I wanted to try doing more comics again in the current year. Or at least, up until I have to resume my obligations that force me to do one stream Pardon me. Before I have to resume my obligations that make me do one stream a week again. To that end, I have created a sort of reference sheet for myself to remind me how exactly the CSP comic pages work. So this is just mostly for me. It's actually quite interesting. The thing that blew my mind the most is what these two little marks that I've labeled A and B are supposed to represent. So these are called crop marks, and they're usually, especially for sloppier print jobs, they are what are supposed to be the maximum that a page is going to show. So anything outside of that is guaranteed, anything in this kind of pinkish area out here, guaranteed to not show up in the finished product. If it does, that means your printers are probably really crummy. Then this kind of red zone here, or actually this blue zone is the one that's least defined, because this one is just this one isn't even related to the page size. It's just kind of a general zone that is supposed to be okay, this is the safest area in here. If your art or your dialogue shows up in here, that's going to be 100% in there in the final product. This yellow border here is the crop border, and this is kind of where it gets dicier, right? So if you have dialogue that's over here or art that's over here, it's very much possible, especially once it goes into this red zone here, that it might be cut off. Speaking of the red zone, so the difference between this crop border is determined by the crop mark. So you can see here where A goes down, the crop border is established, and where B goes horizontally, the crop border is established the same way. So the crop marks determine the crop border, and the space between those is called the bleed width. So ideally what you want to do is you want to draw and color and shade and everything up until the crop marks, also called the bleed border, but no further. And generally speaking, and from what I understand, it's the most common part is up to the crop border, up to the crop border right before this red bit is where most stuff is printed. Like I said, anything that's going to show up in the bleed width is usually just kind of a weird outlier. Also, there's these crop marks that look like crosses that are for the middle of the vertical and the horizontal parts. CSP is also very useful because you can actually choose to export up until the crop marks or the crop border. So yeah, I made this for myself to kind of help me guide around that. But that's not what this is about today. That is ancient history, potentially future history. What we're going to be focusing today on is making some background characters. And these are just useful to have even if you don't really do much with them, I find, because then you're like, oh yeah, I did design that one guy one time, didn't I? And you have kind of a design that you can just put in the background where, oh, here it is. This is also not the first time I've done this, so you might recall, and I'm going to try and bring it up here very briefly. Back when I was making the Yakuza thumbnails. Was that really that much earlier this year? Maybe I have it in the stream resources or something, hang on. Older announcements. Ah, here it is. So yeah, from this thumbnail for the Yakuza series, I actually made the background goons in this thumbnail using this method where I would essentially use this brush that I made for myself And obviously I scaled it way down, and I would try to like find silhouettes or figures inside of that. So that's kind of what I'm planning to do today, is just use the same method to try and make some background characters. What they'll actually, I don't know if they have I don't have a particular theme in mind just yet, which might make this more difficult actually. The Yakuza guys were fairly easy to do because they were, they were just dudes in suits. Not particularly complicated. Aesthetically, at least. In terms of fashion sense. They might have richer inner lives that I am not privy to. Okay. And I think the thing that I do remember the most about this method was that it is at its best when it's using the shapes are on the smaller side, so maybe a little bit smaller than that. So maybe we go to like 300, maybe 200. That's too small. That's also too small. Maybe 250. That should be about good. So yeah, we're just gonna keep doing this for a minute. Yeah, well, welcome back to the first grade. Today we're looking at shapes and figures. It really was kind of embarrassing. It's been so long since I've had to think of like shapes and figures that I genuinely had to like Google most basic shapes. It felt very strange. Yeah, just gonna keep doing this for a little while. It's odd. Hang on. It is kind of weird that the stroke affects how big some of the shapes become. That's a little funny to me. The other issue as well is that it seems like they're not as random as I wanted them to be. But that's just something that we'll have to deal with. All right. So we have some shapes. Okay, let's start this process. I did try to look up if this was a sort of divination style. It certainly feels like I'm trying to channel some kind of larger power. Hang on. We might have something here. This is almost a little bit like, you guys remember back when I used to do those highlighter scribbles and I would try to find characters and shapes in that? Very similar process. Yeah, I did, like I was saying, I did try to look up in Wikipedia if this was a sort of Wikipedia method, a sort of divination method, but it turns out that it's not that. It's something called Pareidolia. So I think the main difference between Pareidolia and divination is that one is supposed to base it's supposed to determine future events, and the other one is just like finding shapes and stuff. Because I imagine that part of divination is also finding shapes and stuff, but a part of it is also interpretation of those shapes and what they could mean for the future. Okay. I think I'm gonna give this person a scarf. They do very much look like some kind of skier. With all the winter gear and whatnot. It does also look like they're kind of posed a little bit audaciously. Giving them two little dot eyes. Maybe this can be kind of the sort of Adidas logo equivalent to what they're wearing. Or maybe that's those are fasteners on the sweater. Definitely kind of hunched. My biggest fear is that because of just how this is supposed to work, everybody's just gonna show up to be a little bit lumpy. Which isn't necessarily a bad thing, but it's also sort of... The whole point of this is to avoid homogeneity, or to avoid all of them looking the same. Is it homogeneity? Hang on. Yeah, it is said. Okay, so it's written homogeneity, but it is. Hang on, we have a. Stop the music. Jazz music stops. Let me put up the desktop audio.
Homogeneity.
One more time, por favor.
Homogeneity.
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 Okay, yeah. So I was on the right track, not really nailing the landing though. I guess we could probably have some kind of snowboard or something. They could be a snowboarder. I said skier earlier, but this could also be a snowboard outfit. And you know what, actually? We have a big ol' round thing back here. Why don't we give them like a huge pom-pom on the scarf? Maybe two huge pom-poms. Okay, and this is gonna go down like this. I'm gonna give them Timberlakes just because. Just some big ass boots. I know that Timberlakes are very iconic, but are they genuinely good shoes? I do have a pair of Timberlake boots myself, not the classic tanned leather ones. They're snow boots that I bought a long time ago. They're of decent quality. They've lasted me this long, although I don't really go out in snow very often, so I wouldn't be able to attest very much to their durability. But they seem to be of fine quality. They're steel-toed, if nothing else. I remember something that I used to like doing is that I would look at those so-called cursed images. You know, like there was one, for example, of like somebody in a grungy-looking Mickey Mouse costume in some kind of decrepit house or something. Those are pretty big for a while. Ollie Jolly Shapes. That's right. Hey, Bunny. How you doing? Belated Merry Christmas. It has been 2 days since Christmas. I have taken down the Christmas decorations, although from what I understand, you're not supposed to do that until like sometime in January. After the Dia de los Reyes, I think, is when you normally take them down. But I move much faster, seasonally speaking. But yeah, we're doing some shape divination. I guess it's not really divination though. We're just trying to find stuff in shapes. This person's got something of a Squidward nose. Very kind of downward facing. Man, It must feel good as hell to breathe through a big nose. Clear ventilation, no obstruction, just like a massive amount of air intake.
Germany. That's right. Message reads, need samples immediately.
I just wanted you to see the sample I built from my design.
Yes, it'll be even better if I could use
Shape time, that's right. Hey, Adept.
sample of the...
I'm gonna make an eye out of this triangle. And for the hat... I don't know, it feels bad to always just have a hat. I'm gonna give... so maybe this one's gonna be like a beehive hairdo. Maybe like a sort of Marge type beehive hairdo. Sort of a vertical pompadour. Imagine you go to you work at a barber shop and the customer in question says, "Give me the Marge Simpson." Do you indulge them or do you, I think you would want, I think what they want is pretty clear, right? Like there isn't really any room to clarify their request, but I guess you should probably still ask because, I mean, like what if they don't have enough hair? I feel like you would need a lot of hair to do a hairstyle like this. Alright, almost forgot a nose. One big ol' eye. One big ol' peeper. I like how it was earlier. Let's bring it back to that. Okay, for the jacket. This could be like a very tall collar. You know, you could make an argument for that. Maybe a sort of very modern looking lab coat thing. Yeah, maybe with like an armband on each side. I don't know. We might do a couple more of these. Maybe a belt here. I do kind of love drawing like very Muppet-like mouths like this, where like the mouth is very wide, very expressive, very malleable. I feel like there's something here, especially with like these crossed ellipses here. Maybe somebody with like that on a sort of Rorschach mask. And they have a bowl cut. Why not? They got the Goro Majima at the barber shop, at the hair salon. I will say that I was so displeased. I originally watched Yakuza 0 through a Let's Play many years ago, before I myself played it. And I remember seeing Majima's hairstyle after Yakuza 0, and I'm like, why did they do him like that? Not knowing that that's just actually how he normally looked. It was just such a tremendous sort of shock going from the nice little handsome ponytail to the dreaded bowl cut. What could be here in the middle? Maybe this is assigned to do some kind of open shirt looking thing. With some buttons here. I feel like I could probably stand to make the background shape just a little less. I don't know how to make it high contrast. Maybe a darker shape. Does that show up easier? Or maybe a different hue as well. Actually, yeah, this kind of lime green, similar to my hoodie, is a very pleasant tone. Let's go with that. Yeah, it sounds a little, it stands out a little better. Okay, maybe like that. Yeah, that seems to work pretty well. Although it does look a little bit like the person with the mask is bugging this person with the bug-eyed. Kinda wanna make this like a big head gem thingy. I'm putting these guys too close together. I gotta space myself out a little more. Maybe we could do the gem thingy up here. I remember one time I made like a sort of a mail carrier that had a big gem on his forehead. This person's jaw is going to be very shaped. Those cheekbones too, my god. Okay. Yeah, this chin is kind of oddly placed. Let's merge this over here. I do like this idea of the circle kind of going over this pentagon shape. Maybe we can incorporate that into the collar. Okay. And more kind of like an armored look to this person. I might be cooking nothing, but we're just spitballing out here. We're just having fun. Different color as well. No, so far green is the one that's standing out the most. We can make it lighter still. Yeah, I think slightly lighter is going to help stand out. It is really funny to think that maybe this person doesn't have genuine rusting angry face, but instead the gem is just so heavy that their forehead is just sagging downward like that, making them look permanently angry. There is probably some kind of body modification you can do to just attach a huge large gem to your forehead, right? Like some kind of like geological Tianshinhan. There has to be something you can do for that. Although I imagine you would have to work your way up stone sizes, similar to gauges. Every time I think of gauges, I think of that one friggin' Tumblr post that's like, the Whole Food employee catches me stealing valuable artichoke water, but I managed to jump through one of his gauge earrings and escape. Definitely like an all-timer post, no matter what, but that is one that I think about constantly whenever I see somebody with gauges. Did a little Uzi or whoever put a gem in their head? That's hang on, let me Google. I can't picture Little Uzi Vert in my own kind of theater of the mind. No, it doesn't seem to be the case. Hang on. It might not have been Little Uzi. I definitely do see the potential of a SoundCloud rapper being the one who... Hang on. Gem, stud, forehead, pierce. Okay, no, this one here is like a bindi, which is in the ballpark in terms of location and position, but not in terms of size. Hang on. Gem, forehead, wrapper. No, it was a Little Uzi. Hang on, it was Little Uzi. Was it temporary? Why? Did he... Oh shit, that looks... Okay, that's really in there. Shit. Wait. No, what? What? Is it like growing over? Is he trying to absorb it into his scalp? Hang on. Gem forehead wrapper. Little Uzi Vert says forehead diamond got ripped out by fans during concert? Oh, this is TMZ. That's not a reliable source, I don't think. All these look like... What do you call tabloid rags? Toronto Sun? Ugh. Rolling out news.com.au. That doesn't seem particularly reliable. Global News, British GQ, People, Revolt, Etsy. Yeah, no. I only get my news from reliable sources, such as Etsy.com. Oh, it's a latex prosthetic. I see. That's a little disturbing, but it's really cool too. But yeah, it was Little Uzi Vert temporarily. He appears to no longer have it. It was apparently a $24 million the horrors god. Yeah. It was apparently a $24 million diamond though, which is not an insignificant amount of money. You have a hard time... You would have a hard time, like, finding a fence for that, I feel? Like, do you think later that night he was just desperately checking eBay listing, hoping that one of the fans was dumb enough to immediately put it up and be like, Little Uzi Vert, real diamond, genuine, not fake, verified. Hang on, I'm gonna take a quick sip of something that's not water. Hang on. Where is the mute button on my headset? There it is. Alright, I'm back. Sorry about that. I had some cup ramen for dinner tonight, and there was still some broth left in the cup, and I didn't want it to get too cold. And also there were still some noodles in there. I just wanted to finish my dinner, basically. Okay, let's see. Oh, this one seems to be an interesting one. But yeah, that's crazy. Imagine getting done like a Steven Universe character and then having that thing ripped out of your scalp. I would be incensed. Kind of wondering what to do with this top pentagon here. Maybe a ponytail? Or maybe like a vertical hair bun. I once had a friend of mine back in high school, I think, who was like a competing figure skater until she moved to where I lived. And she showed me that she had like that she had that little hair donut thingy that people use to tie their hair before ice skating routines. It was very fascinating. Like the kind of preparation that goes into making sure, because you go pretty fast on the ice skating course, right? Like you go, like those spins are no joke. You are contending with fairly high G-forces in nothing but a little leotard and some blades on your feet. Which must be something of a harrowing experience, I imagine. I never learned to ice skate properly. I can kind of wobble on there, but I think I missed a window of time where I could learn to ice skate safely. Like, I feel like if I ice skated now, I would like do some like old man shit and break my wrists or something, falling down. I needed to learn it when I was young, malleable, and basically invulnerable. Now I fear I will displace my hip attempting to emulate Shadow the Hedgehog, whose movie I believe is currently still in theaters. I haven't seen Shadow the Hedgehog. I haven't seen any of the Sonic movie franchise movies. They seem to be quite enjoyable though. Especially Shadow the Hedgehog from what I understand. I'll probably check them out at some point. I have some time to do that this coming week, so I might tap in at that point. At least for the first two. I might do... Hang I might do one collar up and one collar down. I've heard they're good. I say that, but the kind of main authority that I'm trusting on these things is also like a diehard Sonic fan, which is its own kind of, you know, like seal of quality if you think about it. Like if the hardcore fan of whatever franchise you're dealing with is pleased with the outcome, then that means they're probably pretty good. For the bloodstained thumbnail, I try not to draw any characters, right? And this is a limitation of mine that I hope to overcome someday, but I'm not sure how I will. One of the things that I want to be able to do at some point, or one of the limitations that I acknowledge of myself as I am, is that I despise drawing characters which have, like, you know, complicated logos, patterns, chains, stuff like that. Because I know that if I draw them as much as I want to draw them, either the details will be obscured by the simplicity of the drawing, or I'll have to draw those things in detail to begin with. And neither of those is a particularly attractive outcome. And I was thinking about this particularly recently because I was drawing the thumbnail for the Bloodstained playthrough that's coming up tomorrow, and there's this one, the person that I drew in there, that Sangetsu fella, who low-diffed me the first time we met. He has a lot of chains on his outfit. Something I didn't even notice. I don't know if it's just a song, but the music's a little loud. Oh shoot, hang on. Yeah, you were onto something. My bad. I forgot to separate my audio sources after I did homogeneity. After I looked up how to pronounce homogeneity. That's my bad. Oh boy, I'm definitely gonna get copyright flagged for that. Well, that's fine. It'll be nice to end the year with something a little exciting. I'm just kidding. YouTube, don't bonk me. This might actually be a problem, actually. Well, we'll see how it goes. Thank you for pointing that out, though. It's very useful that I really appreciate that you pointed that out. Having good audio is like one of those things where, like, it's almost like a group effort. You know, you as a streamer, you can kind of like ballpark where your audio is at, but it helps a lot if the viewers are also helping, like, oh yeah, it's a little loud right now, or oh, your voice could stand to be a little bit higher. Or a little bit louder. I can't make my voice much higher than this without it putting a strain on me. I have no idea what I should do with this shirt. Like, it's obviously a shirt of some manner. A blouse of sorts. Okay, maybe something up here as well. Actually, hang on. I do see something in these shapes. Maybe like this a little bit. It reminds me a little bit of that of that Chad meme. It definitely looks a little bit like an Egyptian walk pose. I always forget what they do with the... Hang on. Oh, right, they do the other arm downward. I had to like I had to do the pose myself to remember how it went. Okay, and then we put this over here. This is gonna be some kind of armor thingy, I think. Maybe with like a loincloth. Or maybe an apron. Maybe that's like an apron or something. There's this particular style of apron that is like a waiter apron that is just like a dishcloth tied at your waist with another piece of string. That I'm a big fan of for some reason. I don't know, I just like how it looks. Although in the kitchen myself, I do wear just a normal looking apron. You know, you Google picture of apron and that's probably what I use in the kitchen. I've also been able to bake something again, which is very exciting. I was worried about it because for a long time my oven was either not working or like showing up errors or something, but it seems to have calmed down a little bit. I was able to bake some brownies from a box the other day. Hmm. Okay, then over here, that seems pretty good. Okay, so these are 4 randos. Hang on. Let me preserve these 2 for posterity about like how we went about designing these. So now I think the main thing to do is to make like full body drawings of each of these suckers and then use those to color in. I'm not sure how to go about this, honestly. Because should I just do like a front-facing pose? Should I have them T-pose? Actually, I'm gonna have them T-pose. It feels like it would be pretty funny if I made them T-pose. Alright, so first up is the Squidward Snowboarder. This is the wrong layer. Okay. I've worn snowboarding goggles before, and maybe it was just that they were a poor fit, but they did feel rather uncomfortable. Same for scuba gear, or not actually scuba gear, snorkeling gear. That also felt rather uncomfortable because it is very much one size fits all. So I'm not sure. I don't know. Are there people who make customized snorkeling equipment? Like, is there like an equivalent of a tailor for snorkeling? There has to be, right? Like, there has to be, like, for people who snorkel professionally or do it as a very serious hobby, there has to be a market for custom snorkel fittings. I also remember there was, like, a difference, right? It was that menswear guy on Twitter. Apparently, there was a difference between people who made shoes on like normally, because back when all shoes were handmade, right? There would be cobblers who literally cobbled your shoes together, and that's what like the majority of people used. And there would be another fancier version of a cobbler that had like a very fancy sounding French name that escapes me right now. Hang on, cobbler. Cobbler, fancy, shoemaker. Modern cobbler. Cordwainer. It was called a cordwainer. Which it does not sound as French as I remember. It actually sounds very British. Let's see. Etymology. From the Anglo-Norman cordowaner, the Old French cordowaner, unir, and it initially denoted a worker in Cordovan or Cordovan, the leather historically produced in Moorish Cordoba, Spain in the Middle Ages, as well as, more narrowly, a shoemaker. Huh. The term is now considered obsolete except where it persists in the name of a trade guild or company, or whether otherwise employed by trade unions. Huh. How about that? The early settlers of Canada also included cordwainers. In 1749, the newly appointed Lieutenant Governor of Nova Scotia, Edward Cornwallis, arrived off of Chebucto Head, Nova Scotia, in the sloop of war HMS Sphinx, with the objective of establishing the settlement now called Halifax. By June 27th, 13 transport ships following the Sphinx reached the harbor with the initial 2,576 British settlers. Among them, 19 cordwainers. They had 19 motherfuckers making shoes for almost 2,500 people. For almost 2,600 people, pardon me. Tough gig, to be honest. Those guys should have stayed home. Never run out of business, I guess. I guess it's a good thing to be busy rather than not be busy. But still, feels like a lot. Then again, cordwainers were supposed to be... Actually, you know what this dude reminds me of? Those monsters from Dig Dug. Hang on. Dig Dug monster. Gotta keep them on their toes. Ayy. Hang on. Friggin' this thing on the bottom right here. It reminds me a little bit of that. Well, my design now. That is also something that I am wondering, is to what extent is this going to reveal something terrible about my own psyche? Like, for example, the terrible thing that has been revealed today is that I know what Dig Dug is. I feel like that's one of the few old school arcade games that doesn't get as much love, because I feel like everybody knows about Pac-Man, but I feel like nobody knows about Dig Dug, for example. Like, if you were to ask a Gen Alpha kid, hey, do you know Pac-Man? They would be like, fuck yeah, I know Pac-Man. What are you talking about? But if you ask them, like, do you know what Dig Dug is? They would be like, no, what are you talking about? You're old as hell. Also, I made this guy way too big. Okay, and then... I think as long as we stay away from a warm color palette, the copyright infringement should be to a minimum, unlike my music selection. The Forgotten Histories of Dig Dug. I hope there's I hope that becomes like a Summoning Salt episode. I've been binge watching Summoning Salt videos recently as background noise. So I am hoping for like some kind of new fantastical deep cut that I had no idea existed. It actually started when I was making the thumbnail for what do you call? for Bloodstained because I wanted to watch the. I was hoping that he had something on the history of what do you call Castlevania speedruns, and it turns out he does. There is a Castlevania speedrun episode of Summoning Salt, which I did partake of. But after that, it kind of kept getting out of hand and escalating. It's important not to drink too deep of the cup of YouTube video essays. It is very much one of those things where it's like, in time you will resent its absence, and you will become addicted to it. It's just kind of a lose-lose situation. God, I should rewatch Mad Max Fury Road at some point. Such a good-ass movie. This person does definitely give the vibe of like the cartoon character in a kids show, who is like very much supposed to have like social anxiety, or is supposed to be like a bookworm, but and doesn't really talk much, but is surprisingly competent. I'm gonna give these like duffel coat, what do you call, straps. Also, little tiny hands poking out of the sides. Oh yeah. Speaking of which, I've recently discovered that the Asian goods store near me sells like those herbal tea. They have like a name in English. Hang on. Like they have like a brand name in English. Chinese canned herbal tea. Wong Lokat. Hang on. Let me put up a picture of it. Yeah, here we go. So this is the can as it normally looks like. I have a version of it that's in like this golden can. And very good. Very tasty. I don't know if it actually has any medicinal effects like reducing nausea or anything. I know that most of these are supposed to be like for treating some kind of nausea or kind of unstable feeling in your stomach. But it's very delicious. A Shenzhen metro train wearing the Wong Lokat special colors to promote the product. That's crazy. I don't know. There's something kind of awesome about this in the sense that one of the most popular and advertised drinks is like this herbal tea thing. You know, that's like almost if like Coca-Cola was good for you, and it's, well, no, there's no guarantee that this stuff is good for you either. I don't know, it might have like surprisingly high sugar content or something. I'm going to increase the size of the boots on this guy. Big old stompers. Speaking, I remember I was talking about Timberlakes earlier when I was drawing this. I do remember that there's a very famous edit of Gran from the fighting game that's got him wearing like a huge pair of Timberlakes for some reason. I don't know. That one always cracked me up. Big old boot. I'm going to add like the little side rectangles here too, just so that it matches the code. And I'm also going to shrink these on the code and add a third one. There we go. I fear that I'm becoming one of those like Thing Japan guys, but for a Thing China. I don't know if that's a legitimate point of concern for myself. Let's see. And over here. There we go. Try again. There we go. Did I accidentally make two of these? No. Okay, put this one a little bit less wide and a little bit more low. And we can plonk it down over here. Over here. Actually, I'm going to improve the shape language of this because a little bit, it makes the person here look a little too anxious to have that many things happening with their sleeves. So maybe I'm just going to simplify it a little bit and just give them the high tense shoulders and replace these with normal sloped sleeves. And of course the big pom-poms in the back. Okay, then over here. Perfect. And I'm going to add just a small reference back here for the pom-pom scarf. Okay. Then put the hat upward and perfect. Okay, the next one is the scientist person. I think this bug-eyed look is just something that they're going to have as a special expression. I don't think they should their head should normally be their eyes should normally be that big. Or should they be? Let's see. Yeah, I think I'm gonna give them like squarish eyes. Also, since I think their whole thing is gonna be like very easily outraged, I think I am going to give them like very angular eyebrows. Oh yeah, that reminds me. I very recently played Half-Life 2 Episode 1 and Half-Life 2 Episode 2. I played Half-Life 2 like ages and ages ago. I had no idea that Half-Life 2 Episode 1 / Episode 2 were supposed to be sequels to the main story. I had no idea what they were supposed to be. I assumed they were like remakes or something. Because they were called Half-Life 2. But that's not the case, in fact. And honestly, they were pretty good games. I definitely enjoyed Episode 2 more than I enjoyed Episode 1. And it was so good that I almost forgot how nauseous the Source engine makes me. Not specifically the Source engine. There's something about playing Half-Life 2 and Half-Life 1 that always gave me like some kind of motion sickness. And sadly, that has not passed with age. But they were very good games. Okay, and then over here. I think the reason that I started playing those games particularly recently is because I watched the Civ 11 video on Half-Life 2. And I'm like, yo, that's awesome. I remember all of this. And then he was like Half-Life 2 Episode 1, which is a sequel. And I'm like, wait, what? So I paused the video, played those two games because, like, let me double check how much my gameplay time is on them, actually. So Half-Life 1 Episode 1, it took me 3.4 hours to beat, and Half-Life 2 Episode 2 took me 4.4 hours. So very, very short experiences. So yeah, I got those two done, and then I was like, alright, time to resume the video. That is one of the only times where like a video essay was like, or not even a video, well no, this one was like an hour and something minutes long, so I do think it's worth calling like a video essay, sort of. But yeah, that's the only time I can think of where a video has been like, pause this game and go play it before you finish this video. And I'm like, yes sir, hoorah. The Watcher. Okay. And I'm going to put these out here. And I am going to very clearly make these look like armor or some kind of padding on the outside of those sleeves. I called them armbands earlier, but I think that's a bad look. Okay, then over here, and add a little clip here. Maybe that's a nameplate or something. I have been meaning to design like a sort of the clothing of a few other factions for an OC universe. So maybe this can be one of the building blocks for that. Okay, then over here. It would be really funny if the purpose of these was not to like protect the arms, but every couple of hours or so, you would feel like a slight squeeze pressure on your arms, and then the little armbands would be like, your blood pressure is 180 over 160. Lower the sodium in your diet, or something like that. Hmm. Let's make this thing on the hip a flower container. And give it like a fancy capsule. I'm a huge fan of whenever a science fiction work has like a needlessly complex but ultimately scientific looking capsule for storing basically anything. I don't know, there's some kind of inherent charm to that. I know for a fact that if that were a real procedure for like real world sample collection, that would be basically insufferable. But, you know, this is not the real world. I'm going to give her huge fucking gloves. Yeah, this looks like a scientist, all right. And I'm going to make this belt almost like suspenders. Okay, scale that down just a tiny bit more. I didn't really think of what the pants would be like for this person. Whoops. That's my own lack of foresight. Okay. Now, I might be bad at counting. Is that too many fingers? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. No, we got 5 fingers. I'm just messing. I'm just messing. Okay, then over here. Perfect. It's been a little frustrating recently. I've had a lot of free time on my hands. I'm currently on vacation from my job. But I do feel like there's a couple of things that I've been meaning to get done that I just have not had the energy to do. I do fear that this is like the backlash of like having burnout that I had no idea I had. I hope that's not the case. But in either case, if it is hitting now, it is. I feel that. Yeah. Like sometimes it's like, is this burnout or am I just like decompressing a little bit, as I rightfully should be? And I think it's not bad if the answer is that it's a little bit of both. Like if I am burnt out, then now is definitely the time to take care of that, to let that kind of like recovery happen. She needs goggles. I feel very strongly that this person needs goggles. The math scientist look just isn't complete without the goggles. As for the legs. May I could give them like the boots from the Egghead arc of One Piece. No. May I can do something with the... Oh, actually, that's a good idea. May I can give them leggings, but make them similar to the armbands here, where they have these 3 stripes on the outside. Or 2 stripes on the outside. But the good news is that even though I have been like slacking on a couple of things that I've been meaning to do, I've also gotten a lot of other things done as well. So that's also been motivating, knowing that, you know, the most urgent... Well, actually, no, I still have a couple of urgent things that need to be attended to, but those are not like urgent. Like, for example, if you notice a change in my acoustics, that's because I've moved the position of my desk. I have a okay. So like the current situation in my apartment is as follows. I have an old Amazon Basics desk that I bought when I moved in, and I also have my nice convertible standing desk that can also be like sitting height, which I'm using right now. So what I've done is that I've put my old desk and my new desk together, and at the end of the room in my living room, or actually just like the main... My apartment has a total of, I think, 1, 2, 3, 4 rooms. 3 if we're not being... 4 rooms if we're being generous, 3 if we're not. The living room, what's supposed to be the living room and the kitchen are kind of connected. And so what ends up happening is that I don't have like a lot of space to work with in the living room. Because I need to put in my couch and my streaming setup in there too. I have a coffee table as well, but that one just ends up getting put wherever. So yeah, I used to have my stream setup set so that I would be able to face towards the exit of my house. But I have recently changed it so that my back is to the exit of my house and I am up against my wall. And I gotta say, the feng shui or just the vibes in general of the house are breathing much better. The living room looks much more spacious now that I don't have my desk like kind of in the middle of it, taking up a lot of space. I'm not a huge fan of having my back to the exit, but it is what it is. I need to start moving on from that phase in my life. And like you are supposed to do that, right? Like especially for the bed. I remember there's like some kind of superstition where you're supposed to sleep with your feet towards the exit for some reason. I do think that that's mostly for like a fire thing in case of, you know, I do think that's one of those superstitions that has like a practical element behind it where you're supposed to be able to book it from your house if a fire occurs. Anyway, that's the second one done. I might shrink this guy on the left here a little bit more. Just so that everybody is relatively the same size. Okay. Now this masked weirdo over here. I don't even know what shape this is supposed to be. Any geography heads, if you care to chime in with like a country you think this looks like, please by all means do so. This person is also going to get like anime girl hair vents for their bowl cut out of necessity. The anime girl hair vents actually made me think a lot about like what ventilation is supposed to look like for a lot of different machines. Because does that mean that like you, and I hate to bring the topic back to Mad Max so twice in one stream. I do try to move on from one topic to another. But is like the air vent mean that like you could like spit nitrous or gasoline into the hair vent and they would go faster? Anime air vents are healthy and happy beings. That's true. They're like those pugs that have like the entire face instead of just like the face being super flat and compressed. It's healthy. This person kind of looks like if Sanji was like in some kind of weird messed up hostage situation. Because of like the lopsided bowl cut. Hang on, maybe I can do something with the thing here. Maybe I can make it look a little bit like a butterfly. There we go. No, that just makes them look like they're facing the wrong way. But this doesn't really look like anything, on the other hand. Hang on, maybe it's time to do some research on Wikipedia. Hang on. I remember reading about these things called rebuses, or rebuy, which are a sort of like... Okay, no, rebus is not the right thing. I meant to say, hang on, maybe it's like a symbol or something? But the idea of a rebus is kind of interesting too, because like, for example, this one here is supposed to mean top secret. So they've got 3 secrets and the top one is circled. Let's see. A rebus sent to Voltaire by Frederick the Great. Supper tomorrow at Sansuki. Domaine su peu Sansuki. Bishop Oldham's Owldom rebus is carved in the wall of his chantry in Exeter Cathedral. Owldom. Oh, Oldham. Oldham. I see. It's supposed to be a pun on their name. A bottle of Yamato Shizuku sake with a rebus dalital read as Yama mountain, symbolized by the upper curve, and To, which is a certain katakana character for To, plus Shizuku, droplet. Oh, that's interesting. Rebus puzzles on U.S. beers. Lone Star has rebus puzzles under the crown caps of his bottled beard, as do National Bohemian, Lucky Lager, Falstaff, Olympia, Rainier, Hafenreffer, Castle, Pearl, Regal, Ballantine, Mickey's, Lionhead, and Texas Pride during the 1970s and 80s. These puzzle caps are also known as crown ticklers. Narragansett Beer uses rebus puzzles on their bottle caps and bar coasters. For what purpose? How did that happen? Oh yeah, I was thinking of the word dingbat. Okay, let's see. Tape drive. These are fun to just look at for symbols. Oh, maybe this one would be good. A heavy sparkle. I don't know how else to put it. This person with the mask definitely feels like an OC somebody would come up with in middle school a little bit. Okay, then. Right. Okay, use this to cut that out. And we can shrink them down a little bit too. Now we have the details of the face worked out. I do feel like it would be cooler if this one had more feminine characteristics as well. Kind of like King from the King of Fighters. Not King. Or maybe it was King. There's this like one blonde lady who is called King, I think, in like a fighting game series. Hang on. King fighting games. Oh no, she is from King of Fighters. Yeah, here we go. This is who I'm talking about. A character in both Art of Fighting and the King of Fighters series. She appears as one of the founders of the women's fighters team, along with Mai Shiranui and Yuri Sakazaki. I see. Cool. Okay, then over here. Hang on, I'm about to sneeze. I feel it coming. No. Sometimes I feel like you feel a sneeze coming and you know that it's going to be a dud. You know what I mean? Like, you feel like you're about to sneeze, but you know in your heart that it's not going to come out. I don't know. Very rarely have I had a situation where where I guessed wrong on my sneeze magnitude. Hang on, this body shape is bugging me a little bit. It definitely looks like they have a little bit of a slouch. Yeah, I think it's the shoulder positioning that's throwing me off. Okay, then over here. Okay. Maybe I should extend the shirt a little bit more. I don't know what to do for the pants, though. Like, already because of the mask, it looks pretty mysterious. I don't know how to keep up the vibe with the pants. Well, when in doubt, go for some jeans. Or actually, maybe we can just leave the bottom half empty for now. We've got a couple of other people to work through as well. It's also bugging me that these two aren't on the same foot level. Maybe I should just make this one, like, really disturbingly elongated. Yeah, maybe with, like, some kind of mom gene setup. I'm gonna change the direction of where this person is staring just to make it look less like they're looking up at this other person. This is kind of creepy, actually. Long person. Long, long man. Such an iconic advertisement series. I'm not even gonna call them out advertisements. Those were a film. Okay, so the thigh would end around here. No, the thigh would end much sooner than that, actually. So let's just shrink them down a little bit so that the proportions are more accurate. The end too, the twist we needed, for real. Unbeknownst to us the whole time it was Yaoi. Something comically funny about giving this person the huge hands, a huge body, and a huge waist, but very tiny little tiny feet. I'm gonna be honest, when I first saw that advertisement series, I was blown away. I had no idea the twist was coming. Subverting expectation at at its finest. Okay, then over here. I might go out for breakfast tomorrow. I have been craving some what do you call, English muffin sandwiches, so I might go out and get myself one of those for breakfast. Honestly, this turned out really well. I'm really happy with this one in the middle. Like, somehow it's both the simplest design and the one that stands out the most. Because it's just such a strange looking person. I might shrink this hand down just a tiny bit so it's more even. There we go. Shopping for clothes at that height must be really inconvenient. Like, yeah, you're very slim and that's probably helpful, but it's not gonna... It's probably a bother in the end, right? Not to mention the sheer number of House of Weather up there kind of jokes. Those have got to start to grate after a while. Especially not after where I currently lived. I was almost never the tallest person in any situation. And I think that alone has kept me humble. That's the only thing that stopped me from going on some kind of megalomaniacal sort of power trip with my sheer perfection. Is the fact that I cannot reach the top shelf without assistance. Okay. Let me move the stud over here. Wasn't there like a sort of riveted thing that you could do for armor? Or for leather armor, at least. I remember that there's like this thing that you can do where you can just attach metal plates on the top to make it more durable. Skyrim taught me that. I say as if it was like some kind of deep life lesson. Instead of like probably a very basic armoring technique. Dude who manages to create like a blacksmith at the end of the world, but only because they spent 400 hours playing Skyrim characters who have to do smithing for their character optimization. Sadly, I don't think skill in Skyrim blacksmithing will translate to real life smithing skill, but maybe it will. Who knows? We asked 1 in 5 smiths whether they had played Skyrim and how realistic the process was, and this is what they said. I wish I knew a blacksmith. Or, you know, just anybody who really worked with metal regularly, a welder or something. Once I resolve my obligations for good, one way or another, I should try to look into meeting more and more new people. And probably making a social life of my own in the meat space. Having online friends is great, but I think I should try to enrich my own life by being more present in my own community. Or trying to create that community in the physical, tangible world. At some point, I'll have to make a Discord server. You know, if I want to keep growing, at some point I am going to have to make a Discord server. I recognize that, and I'm not looking forward to it at all. I don't think it'll be particularly difficult to manage one. I just don't like the idea. Yeah, we do need physical people. That is super important, I think, is that we do need people to physically be with. I know growing my in-person community added onto my life. Yeah, and that's kind of what I'm hoping as well for myself, is that I can... I don't know. I feel like the things that I do are meaningful, but I could be doing more. If that makes sense. Like, I'm not unfulfilled, but I do feel like there has to be more. Because I love hanging out with people virtually, and I do hang out with people in real as well sometimes, but I do think the way I live in particular needs to... I need to I need to step back and evaluate every now and again. I'm gonna make this dude's eyes all eyebrows. God, I'm trying to imagine what kind of concept this would be to have like both the waist apron and the riveted shoulder armor. I'm kind of going for my kind of spitball idea for whatever this is that it's kind of like the equivalent of like having a maid cafe but with blacksmiths rather than maids. Welcome home, Goshujin-sama. And then you just hear a deafening clang of somebody banging a piece of metal onto an anvil. I don't know. Should there be... Hang on. What kind of... I'm trying to think of, like, the idea for what I should have instead of a t-shirt. Because I feel like the t-shirt... If the concept that I'm going for is, like, maid cafe, but make it blacksmithing, I feel like the t-shirt doesn't really fit in there very well. Hang on, like, waiter shirt. I mean, that doesn't look like just a normal shirt. Unless... Hang on, this might be something. I should also save my work. Okay. So trying to look at this, right? Okay. Yeah, just widening the sleeves a little bit and then making sure that it looks buttoned down. I don't have a good naming sense for maid cafes. So I don't know what we should call this theoretical blacksmithing maid cafe place. Also, this guy's very lopsided. Also, hang on. Should I have the hammer in the hand or hang on. Maybe I can have it on the apron, but like with a very cutesy, hard-looking thing. Then over here. Nice hairy arms. And for funnies, let's make this person a chicken leg. I mean, one of their legs does seem pretty thin back here. You know the entrees are going to be crazy if the person who's taking your order looks like this. Okay. There we go. Okay. I just want to make them look a little bit more even on each side. Oh, I see we accidentally dropped one of the sleeves here. Let me go back and fix that. Okay, we got 2 more people. And actually what I'm going to do real quick is just make this dude both smaller and also less tall. Okay, the next up is I guess friggin' Arcane knockoff Little Uzi Vert. I don't know what else. I'm trying to figure out like if that's the funniest thing I can call this guy. I haven't even seen Arcane. I do think they should have chosen a different name for that series. Because funnily enough, they call it Arcane, but most of this shit does seem technological based on what I've seen. Like, a lot of it is just like studying the technological advancements in universe. Okay. Nice big lantern jaw. I like how nobody here seems particularly thrilled to be in this lineup. Like everybody's either frowning or like in some kind of or kind of with an unreadable expression. I'm also gonna give this person like a dented nose. Okay, there we go. It's still crazy to me. The new Weezer lineup is crazy. Hang on. I can do the joke real quick. Hang on. Da 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 Buddy Holly. Na 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 da da Taylor Moore. Thank you, Ryan. How have you been? God, I really just want this thing to very much look like it's sunken in there real good. Like you need a crowbar or something to pry that thing out. Dudes who would be easily seduced by the cursed gem when they say that they would not be seduced by the cursed gem. Doing fine. What are these for? These are for fucking around with. If I'm being fully honest. So the way that this started is that I made like a bunch of different shapes on this layer here, and then I try to interpret those shapes into character designs, which you can see a little bit further up here. And I've been turning those into like fully fleshed out full body designs. Maybe I should make this dude like MODOK or something. So yeah, these don't have a specific purpose. They are just to have... They are just like being born for no reason. Much like most of us. Not giving this dude any eyebrows, by the way. He's gonna stay like that, bald-browed. But yeah, I am gonna have to shrink his head down a little bit. I'm gonna give him some very ridiculous looking, like, World of Warcraft-ass pauldrons. I should absolutely be using a symmetry ruler, but I won't be. That one dude who's a little too into crystals in your friend group. Let's see. Okay, let me move this guy. I feel like it's starting to get a little cramped in here. We might need to move this guy to his own sort of real estate. There we go. Should I make the pauldrons bigger? I think I should make the pauldrons bigger, actually. Because each as large as his head individually. Fuck it. Wild West. Now would be a great time to use the symmetry tool, but I fear it's a little bit late for that. So we're just gonna eyeball this sucker. Okay, then over here. And then a big chess piece right here. I need like a real suit of armor for reference, I think. Because I don't think this is how it's supposed to go. Hang on. Plate armor. Okay, found a reference. Okay. Sadly, this dude is not going to be able to, like, completely lift his arms over his head. Probably ever. If I'm being honest. But you know, you choose that life when you sign up to be the guy who has a giant crystal embedded in his skull. But did he choose to be like this? That would be a fascinating narrative to explore through the design. Did he choose to be the guy with the crystal in his skull? Okay. I'm also gonna make this guy's legs really tiny. Just because I think it's funny, no other particular reason. I will say it was rather galling to discover that little Uzi Vert had beat me to the idea of having a giant gem embedded in your skull by like a few years, presumably. Yeah, and a few sparkles over here. I think that's gonna be the insignia for this guy. Let me put this pauldron just a tiny bit closer to his skull. I don't even know what I should do for the arms, is the problem. I escalated so much so quickly with the fucking pauldrons that I have no idea what I need to do for the arms. Maybe I should give him like big ol' auto fister kind of arms. You know, like really big old Popeye arms. Or maybe, hang on, maybe I can give him... no. I was about to say giving him really tiny little arms like this. Do the mugshot from the Sly Cooper thing and have them really huge arms that move around with and really tiny legs. Hang on, I don't know. I don't know if this is sauce or not. What if I gave him really tiny arms and really huge pauldrons that look like they're huge arms? Hang on. Oh, this is gonna be kind of horrible, I think, by the time I'm done with it. I don't know if I'll be able to live with myself. But it will look very funny. Let me look up mugshot from Slice of Cooper, actually. Huh, mugshot with 2 G's. Oh, he's like some kind of dog person. I see. Interesting, interesting. This does give me ideas, though. Hang on, let me get rid of the tiny arms. They're very distracting, honestly. Okay, and then over here. There we go. Okay, now to copy and paste this leg. I feel like I've made too many of these jerks to have like ridiculous proportions. I'm going to elongate this guy's body just a tiny bit at least. There we go. It still looks ridiculous, but at least now it's not like the same as the other two guys. That being said, I don't know what's the move to make the arms look as big as because like realistically the arms would have to be like this big, right? Like in terms of silhouette. The struggle is, how do I'm trying to think here. How do I make them that big and look good at the same time? What if I gave him... Hang on. What if I base him on the Needler from Halo? Because that thing has crystals growing out of it. I mean, fuck it, why not? What do we have to lose, really? There we go. I think now I see how we had to do the arms. We had to make them even bigger than the pauldrons. Of course, the only logical solution: escalation. Being a creative is such a strange hobby to have sometimes. And the funniest part is that just because of the way that these would have to be aligned, is that these are... This guy always has to have his shoulders, his elbows bent like this. That's the only way this fits. Or, I guess I could have it be... Hang on. I would have to bring it lower. Like way down here. Yeah, so I think the actual gauntlets would be up to around here. And then we can compensate for the empty space here using like those weird, what do you call? Those weird... Hang on, I literally have a diagram of plate armor somewhere around here. Elbow pieces. Those elbow pieces from suits of armor. Okay, and then just attach here. Okay. I don't know if putting crystals up here would make it look a little bit too much like the Needler, but whatever. We're doing this for fun and not for profit. Okay. Grabbing these ones here. Copy, paste, and flip. This looks so... I don't even know what to call this design. This looks like a Crash Bandicoot villain. This looks like some kind of forgotten moldy Skylander figures at the bottom of somebody's Goodwill shopping cart. This looks like an abandoned NFT project that they thought was going to make them money, but like one of those NFT video games that they thought was going to make them money, but it only ended up costing money. I'm being a real hater on this for something that I made myself. I should be kinder to it. But just look at it. It's ridiculous. Anyway, let's do the last one. Which is a much more normal looking woman with a distressed face? Question mark? I'm gonna make her eyebrows like very circular and look like just tinier versions of her own eyes. One of my favorite archetypes, distressed office lady. Okay. And let's put a few years on her as well. Actually, let's make her on the older side. Okay, then over here. So kind of like weird, poorly adjusted collar, I suppose. Hmm. Gonna give her like big old cuffs. Yeah, I think this one's gonna be like a very simplistic design, very kind of old school looking, very librarian like. Well, I suppose I should give her like some. Oh, actually, that would really enhance everything. Giving her some half moon glasses. Hell yeah. There we go. I could actually stand to make her just a tiny bit bigger. Because her face size currently doesn't really match any of the other characters. Regarding the shoes, I'm not sure what I want to do. They wouldn't be particularly complicated. I guess they would just be like flats with buckles. Maybe just a slight heel to them. No. Let's give the grandma Air Force Ones. No, that also wouldn't fit. Jordans. Hang on. Is there like, hang on. Is there like a particular set of Jordans that is marketed towards the elderly? Hot damn, hang on. We might have something. 75-year-old grandpa dresses like stylish celebrities. No, that's not quite right. Alright, hang on though. Old people flexing inspo album. Tell me more. Oh wait, this is just a WordPress site. This is elderly Jordan, as in Jordan, the region of Earth. Old woman Jordans. That is not an old woman. Although I don't know, maybe it is. Maybe she just moisturizes like a motherfucker. Hmm. What in God's name are these? The Jordan with heels is sick work. Hmm. Actually, what about the Nike airships? Hang on, Nike airships. Just make them very vintage basketball shoes. There we go. Just very classic looking old basketball shoes. For the senora. Who knows? Maybe Granny's stunting on the other senior citizens at the rec center. Why do these kind of go hard on the design? Hang on. Wait. Why does this work? If we give it like a nice... If we avoid the kind of circular toe heel there, or the circular toe there, and just give it like a more sleek design. Why does this work? No, hang on. Why does this work? This shouldn't work. Does it? It kind of works, yeah. Granny on fleek. Hang on, we need to do something to make them legally distinct from Air Jordan. So I think we are going to do like 1, 2... There we go. This is nuts. Why does this fit so well? Fuck it, Granny with the J's. Why not? What the hell, sure. God, I like how we have like all these normal looking people and then we just have this fucking Guardian of the Crystal. Hang on. We need to shrink these guys down just a tiny bit more so we can fit in the last dude. In an ordinary lineup. And I do want to give these guys some... Oh, he doesn't even fit, though! Like, even if I make him the normal size, he doesn't fit. Everybody's gonna need to be, like, way smaller. Oh my god. Like, look at how much space that guy takes up alone. You monster! Of my own creation, no less. I do like how thick the line art looks with this kind of setup, though. Like, this looks kind of hardcore. Okay. Let's just give these guys some quick and dirty colors. God, the idea of just this extremely formal-looking woman, for whatever reason, having a couple of Nike airships. That senior citizen salary really coming in clutch. I almost feel like she shouldn't be showing the leg if we have these sick ass shoes on. Like we could almost like put them a little bit further up. And there we go. It's a little bit less obvious what they are now, but I think that almost fits better. I will have to extend her skirt length, though. I feel like dark hair would also suit her now. Let's see. God, they say that the best character designs are the ones that can tell you a story through their. Actually, no, she would definitely be graying at this point, right? I fear we might have accidentally just made Psycho from Don to Don, but it with like I don't know how to put it, like some kind of strange influence on her design. And then the goddamn Nikes. This just feels like such a baffling move. Like there was this one friggin' tweet that I read one time, right? There was this one tweet that I read one time that said that somehow, okay, so Star Wars, right? It's like this bit of trivia that a lot of the lightsaber stuff and a lot of the fighting choreography that is in Star Wars originally came from samurai films, right? That's like a common thing you see on Fun Fact and Trivia Night. But for whatever reason, right, they made the reason that like Obi-Wan Kenobi and all had those like brown robes on during the first movie isn't because that was like conceived of as the standard Jedi attire at the time. It was just one dude living on a desert planet, which is why he had like desert-like robes. But later on, when they had to introduce more and more Jedi, they made all of them wear these stupid-ass desert-themed robes. And it is baffling because none of them come from a desert planet, but it was undoubtedly the correct decision. I don't know how else to put it. Like, sometimes you make the inexplicable decision is the correct one. And this is just one of those times. Okay, to avoid copyright infringement, we're gonna need to make the rims on these glasses something other than yellow. So I think we're gonna go with some kind of white. I was picturing this hat as red, but we'll see. We'll see if that. No, because then that also looks like the creatures from Dig Dug. So maybe like a blue? Ooh, purple's looking nice. With yellow accents, maybe? I don't know about the yellow. Yeah, I think this is gonna be like a whole entire snowsuit. Hmm. Okay, the earmuffs being dark colored is the right choice. This is kind of like a blue steel color. As for the rest of the outfit, no, hang on. There we go. That seems much better. Actually, yeah, why couldn't we make the scarf purple too? Maybe like a different shade though. Yeah, like this darker purple color. I think this looks good. Bonk, bonk, bonk. There we go. Okay, for the scientist, it's gotta be a white lab coat, right? Maybe some kind of like reddish brown hair color. Okay. Okay, so far it feels pretty good. I do think we need some kind of accent color to give, though. So maybe this is where we use the yellow. No, the yellow gloves look too much like kitchen gloves, so maybe we'll do... No, blue also doesn't feel quite right. Green? Green seems pretty good. And I guess some kind of metallic color. So maybe like this darker blue. I don't know about this color for the little glass cage, but I do want it to be one solid color. I kind of want her face to have like a rosy color. Although I don't know how to balance that color-wise. Oh, we still haven't added a couple of these metal strips here and there. Okay, very good. Oh, actually, I forgot to add the color for the, what do you call, the little duffel coat thingies this guy has. Let's just add those real quick. And then just a tiny bit over here. There we go. And freckles too, because of my bias. For this one, I pictured like a salmon pink shirt. I think that would look good. I think for this one in particular, I'm not going to do much shading, but for this one in particular, I feel like it's important to emphasize how glossy the hair should look. And I'm gonna make this one, like, very, very pale. Downright vampiric. Or actually, maybe I should make the... I don't know what color I should make the straps for the mask here. I don't know. Maybe as we kind of progress on the rest of the design, we can come to a conclusion. But there's not much of the design left. I know it's not intentional, but the color of the hair makes me think of Sanji. I was saying that earlier, yeah. Like, this just looks like some kind of... This looks like if Sanji went through whatever happened to Faust between friggin' Exard and Strife. But yeah, we have knockoff Walmart creepypasta Sanji over here. Okay, and then right here we're going to use a gradient. I think? Would that fit well? Yeah, sure, why not? I don't know, for some reason this one in particular, maybe it is because it reminds me of Sanji as well. I wasn't actually attached to Sanji's design very much, but I do like this middle one. It is very striking compared to the rest of these. Extreme things really do stand out a lot. Hmm. Actually, let's use black hair. Is that too vibrant for the skin tone? There we go. This one looks a little less saturated and more natural. I try to avoid making anybody look particularly ashy, but it's a delicate balancing act from sometimes. Hmm. Yeah, the white and red goes really well together, especially with like the heart motif on the apron. Let's see. It's not quite wood colored. Maybe it's a little bit more towards yellow. There we go. That looks kind of like a hammer. It's a hammer if you squint. Don't worry about it. Okay, and then darker souls. Okay, hang on. Leather armor color. I mean, leather armor can have a lot of different colors, right? But you think of this like rich brown color usually when you think of it. Yeah, kind of like that. Okay. And then we can have a darker brown on the trim. And we can use the same color for the pants and shoes for the straps here. I don't know about this one. The color balancing feels a little odd. Maybe we need to introduce like a third. Because the red is already very overpowering here. So maybe we need like a cooler color on the Actual armor itself? No. On the straps? Maybe. Actually, yeah, what if we... Huh. Hang on. This might be something. If we use like a darker shade of red for like dyed leather. It's not perfect. I'm still not 100% happier, but it is much better. It doesn't seem as discordant anymore, at least. Then there's this guy. Okay, he's definitely black. More than anything, because of the hairstyle and... Yeah, I think mainly the hairstyle. Oh god, the allusions to Little Uzi Vert are gonna be unstoppable. I had no idea that guy put a gem on his forehead. What was he thinking? What was going through his mind besides the gem? I do think that in honor of the lost pink gem, I do think we have to make this dude's color motif pink as well, unfortunately. It's just such a delightful detail. I only know around that time people were definitely clowning him, I think. Okay, so this was kind of a poor decision from conception. Okay, good to know. Or I guess maybe having like a high value gemstone on your forehead, I can see how that would be a flex that is very self-evident. Is the thing. Like I can kind of see the thought process, right? That is like, okay, obviously people think I'm a bit of a joke. Well, I have material wealth. Let's flaunt that shit a little bit. But then it kind of backfired, and then it almost got stolen. Or did get stolen. Possibly. I don't know. The only resources that had any information about a fan allegedly stealing the gemstone from his forehead, plucking it like some kind of bewitching grape upon the garden, is from like tabloids, so I'm not inclined to take them as hard evidence. I do acknowledge it being a very real possibility, though. They Thanos'd him? They did some Infinity Stone shit to that guy's forehead. Do you think that if it had panned out, he would have tried to do some kind of Infinity Stone shit? Like, I don't know. There are probably yellow diamonds, and I think it's like red, blue, green, yellow, and red, right? Those are like the Infinity Stone colors. I am not up to date on my Marvel lore. But that definitely sounds like something that exists. But yeah, do you think he would have just kept escalating on the, like he would have kept doubling down on the number of gemstones? I hope so. I don't know, because then it's less so like a desperate attempt to make people take him seriously, and more so like an ongoing bid, which is much easier to be endearing for. You know what I mean? Like, if it's like one dude trying to do his damnedest to make people take him seriously by doing something unserious, it's like, okay, what are we doing here? But if that's just like the guy's way of life now, that has bounced back to me to being respectable. Also, I'm really liking how this armor is coming together, surprisingly. Like, this one started out being like the most jokey of the characters, but this is kind of fire. He's a K-popper, and that's what's primarily known for than the rapping? Okay. perhaps I misunderstand something. And this is definitely a flexible subject, I believe. Is one of the requirements for making K-pop not being Korean, or is being Korean not one of the requirements for making K-pop, or is he just like a fan of K-pop, or does he know Korean? Actually, it would be very impressive if he knew. No, I mean he's a K-pop fan. I see. Okay, that makes much more sense than the thing that I said. That is what I suspected, but I wanted to confirm just in case. Because let's be honest, the idea of somebody just deciding of somebody deciding to just be a K-pop guy, just like a K-pop producer in America, is really funny. Actually, he was a big stan of G-Friend. I see. Like there is this one singer, Paida. She does market herself as like a Western J-pop idol, basically. I like her music. It's pretty good. I should draw her at some point. There we go. Maybe just a little bit on the chest piece as well. A little bit of shading, I mean. Nah, better not. Jeez, check these guys out. I'm gonna hit them with a gradient map just for funsies as well. Crystal gems if they slayed. God. I like this one. Let's try and do this one. I'm still not 100% happy with the color for the little life unit here. Maybe I should also make that green. Yeah, if nothing else, at least now it doesn't disrupt the rest of the costume. But yeah, hang on. Tonal correction, brightness, and contrast. Maybe that's what's missing. A little bit more contrast. Actually, you know what? Where we should add a little bit of shading for this guy. Right here on the big forehead gem. There we go. All right, I think we have done some excellent work here. I'm not sure I don't know what to call this, but I am proud of it. So I guess that's good enough. All right. Yeah, that's gonna be all for today. I'm gonna just end the stream. Thank you all for very much for coming by, for making conversation. I really appreciate it. I will be back tomorrow with more of Bloodstained Ritual of the Night. In the meantime, take it easy. Happy Friday, and I will see you all tomorrow. Later. Bye.